Yeah, get that book, brother. When you go in that book, Nation of Israel brothers, they didn't, bro. That's a large book. And at the bottom of every book, there's about 5, 6 resources. Obviously, these are the same ones as well, because I mean, Jewish man has a lot of books too, but they use the literal Jewish sources, so they can't refute it. Saying, okay, you guys had a hand in the slave trade of West Africans coming over here.
Right.
And they did own land in the Caribbean and things like that as well.
I read a book too by King James, and the book was titled "We the Black Jews."
Right.
We the Black Jews. I'm like, man, hold on, man. So why he saying he Jew? And
they stole our identity.
He got blonde hair and blue eyes. He got. I don't.
Like I said, we know for a fact them Jewish people over there aren't the Jews.
Bro, this shit is deep as fuck, man.
It is.
Yeah, it's layers and layers and layers and layers of bullshit. Yeah.
That's why you gotta put it. Hold on, what book is you showing? Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a good book too. But let's read the Bible real quick. We haven't read the Bible enough.
Right.
This is Deuteronomy 28 and 68. It says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships."
Right. It's written over 3,000 years ago to the Israelites before Moses. You read the Bible before you, haven't you? But that's not a problem. But you got to read the Bible with a spiritual mind.
Right.
You know what I mean? You just try to make it seem like the Bible is translated and that's a problem with it. Of course it's translated. Because we got scattered to the four corners of the earth.
King James version, the NIV version, the English version. I'm like, what the hell?
That's not a problem.
You mean the version of the Bible? You know what I mean?
But it's the same. It's the same source documents. You know what I mean? They're not going outside and getting different documents to come with their own Bible. They're going to the same documents and translated it in a certain way. But obviously, there's an original language, like you said, Hebrew. We looked at the Hebrew on this. This came from Native Americans. But it comes from out of the Bible, the Ten Commandments, because they were people at a book. You know what I mean? So the Bible wasn't written by no white man. It was written by the ancestors of Native Americans and the so-called African Americans.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they found...
Who was King James?
King James was a black monarch in England.
Okay.
And he ruled in Scotland too. And quite as kept, that word means black. Scots and the Stuarts, those are black men.
Right.
I can read it again.
Yeah.
Stuarts.
Stuarts, yeah.
That means black. You familiar with that?
Come on, yeah.
But he came from a Stuart line.
Yeah.
King James, this is King James right here. He's a black man. Yeah. So we can get that in a second, but let's read this.
I read that book about theology too.
Yeah, King James wrote it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wrote the books,
yeah, go ahead.
God, it says, Deuteronomy 28:68, it says, "And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
Read.
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies, for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you."
That's what the Bible says. The Israelites are going to go on slave ships.
The enemy though.
You already said it.
Right.
The conquistador, the white man.
Right.
The pale face. The devil the Bible speaks of.
Right.
That's the devil. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean they're spiritual demon like a red pitchfork and things like that. It means they're the deceiver of the earth.
Right.
They're telling kids they can be
trickster.
exactly. They can be any gender. They're fluidless.
Yeah.
Don't put a name on them anymore. All that's confusion. All that's madness.
Right.
That's demonology right there.
Straight up.
I got that slave Bible with you.
And it's all good. We kind of passed it already. Where you at?
We're building right now, man. Let's build.
Yeah, give me second Ezra. And this is what proves the natives that were over here came from Assyria and are Israelites. So, like I said, they got this from the Bible because they already had it before they came over here.
You said Assyria?
Assyria, over in the Middle East, right? That's north of Israel, pretty much. So, the history of the Bible proves that the indigenous of this land were Israelites. That's why they had their Hebrew artifact. That's why they had Hebrew customs. They practiced circumcision. They practiced the Sabbath. They practiced not eating unclean food. That's all in the laws of God because they are the people of the book.
Right.
That? Go ahead. Go ahead.
Now this is 2 Ezra 13 and 40. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Salmanassar, the king of Assyria, led away captive. And he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt.
Yeah, the further country where never mankind dwelt was the Americans.
Right.
Nobody dwelled in the Americas before the indigenous people. Like you said, the Olmecs. The Olmecs weren't Israelites, but they were Canaanites. They were Africans. I say Africans are the continent, but exactly. But we know the Olmecs and the Aztecs and the Incas and the Mayans weren't. I mean, the Mayans and the Aztecs were the same people, but the Olmecs weren't their people. They were still melanated people, Africans,
Right.
but they weren't related to the Aztecs.
Indians.
You're correct on Phoenicians.
And Phoenicians.
Right.
You read that in the Bibles, where they had a navy of ships over there, and they were coming over here, and that's where you get the statues from. They didn't have a civilization here, but they were over here getting goods. Exactly.
Like that.
Exactly. They were seafarers.
Right.
So that's, I mean, we can get into that in a second. That's not the major point, though, but go ahead.
Verse 42, that they might there keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land.
Yeah, so when they wrote this down, the Ten Commandments in Hebrew, they're like, we got to come over here and keep the same commandments that we didn't keep over there. So we were in slavery over there by not keeping the commandments, or come over here, use this as a reminder to keep the commandments, but they still went off because obviously it was already ordained. Go ahead.
And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood.
And they showed signs to them how? Looking up in the stars. They followed the celestial, or the astrology per se, if you want to call it that. Go ahead.
And held still the flood till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go,
Read.
namely of a year and a half.
It took me a year and a half on boat. The old school boats, obviously. They didn't have no motorboat. They came down the Euphrates, around the water Africa, over to the Americas. Go ahead.
And the same region is called Arsareth.
Arsareth. Pull up that scholarship article on Arsareth and prove what Arsareth is according to the encyclopedia, Jewish encyclopedia. Is that it? Give me Hosea 9 and like 11. And let's bring out the Bible to this. Go ahead.
This is Arzareth at Encyclopedia Judaica.
What?
Encyclopedia Judaica. Go ahead.
This is the name of a land beyond the great river, far away from the habitation of man, in which the 10 tribes of Israel will dwell, observing the laws of Moses until the time of restoration, according to 4th Ezra, or which is 2nd Ezra, chapter 13, verse 45. Columbus identified.
Who?
Columbus.
Columbus is an actual person, right? Yeah. From Spain. He was a fake Jew too, but he came over here because he read this part of the where's this part of the Bible? This part of the Bible. King Ferdinand.
Yeah.
King Ferdinand. Read.
Columbus identified America with this land.
He identified America with Arsareth. So when you read the Bible, it's talking about Arsareth. Fast forward in the 1400s, Columbus reads Second Esdras. He's like, wait a minute, Arsareth is somewhere over there.
Right.
So he's like, so he thought it was India. He's like, we're going to India, but guess what? He read Second Esdras. Like, wait a minute. We know there's land over there because I read something about here, and they put that in the movie. If you've seen the movie of Christopher Columbus, I think, what's the movie called?
It's called 1492.
It's called 1492. They show Columbus talking to.
Yeah.
Columbus goes up to the king. He's like, man, I know there's land over there. So I read Second Esdras. He's like, man, you believe the Jews? Like, why you don't believe the Jews? But he's talking about the northern kingdom that was already over here.
Ooh.
So he read this prophecy in the Bible.
Right.
He was like, man, because this is written what, 500 BC?
Right.
Columbus lived in 1400. This is 1500 years later. So he read this, like, man, I know they're over there. He didn't go over there just to say, oh, I'm going to new land. No, he came over there to capture these people. Go ahead.
The name, it has been suggested by Schiller Schnitzli, is taken from Deuteronomy 29, 24 to 27, because they forsook the covenant of the Lord. They went and observed other gods. The Lord rooted them out of their land and cast them unto another land, Erez Aharet, as this day, which that's where they get the word Azareth.
Exactly.
And also the Smithsonian, they have Columbus's Bible, and then on his side notes, they like on the side column, they got his actual writing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you got to understand that the Spanish and all of the Iberians, which is Spain and Portugal, they got all the seafaring tactics of mostly the Islamic world, which was the Moors. You know what I mean?
So let's read this in the Bible, and this is how.
You got sovereigns too?
What's that?
You got sovereign citizens?
Who, us?
Yeah.
I mean, how's that work? No, we're not Moors.
Okay.
That's a doctrine. Like I said, I don't like the information. I don't have a problem with the information they're saying, but they're trying to. They made kind of the claim that you tried to make an earlier stance that we're the indigenous to the land, we're aboriginal to the land. Well, that's not true. Like you guys are trying to use the white man's law and try to get some type of one up on them. I don't want to get pulled over in traffic, and I go to court. I don't have a problem representing myself in court. That's not a problem. knowing the language, first of all, there's not a problem with that. But you're trying to usurp authority over this white man, and they don't give a damn about you. They can shoot you dead. I don't give a fuck how much information you give out. They can kill you for no reason.
Flat out.
So I mean, like I said, the information is not a problem, but the doctrine itself, and they say they're Moabites. You familiar with that?
Yeah.
They say they're Moabites. The Moabites are who the Asians are actually.
Right.
Incest.
Right.
They're incest babies. Go ahead.
So this is 1492 Portuguese slave trade. The Europeans learned much of their nautical skills from the Muslim traders who were traveling the Mediterranean Sea, the waters of the Middle East and Asian oceans. Eventually, however, the Europeans would eclipse the skills and sea adventures of the Islamic people. It was natural that the Portuguese would begin the age of exploration since Portugal's coast is so close to West Africa.
It's so close to West Africa, we gotta go get these West African people.
Right.
And put them on boats. Read.
Since Muslims dominated the trade to their east, the Portuguese mariners headed west.
What?
They headed west.
Headed west of the eastern hemisphere, going where? To the Americas. Read.
At first, the sea travelers were looking for gold, silver, that might exist on the continent of Africa. However, just like the Muslims on the east coast of Africa, they learned that they could become rich by trading African slaves. In 1441, the first slaves were brought to Portugal from West Africa. Soon, many merchants entered the Portuguese slave trade, and hundreds of slaves were being shipped to Europe each year. 1470, Lisbon had become the leading slave port. A Portuguese trader could become very wealthy trading European goods for captured Africans. One European horse could possibly purchase 30 or more slaves of an African tribe. The various tribes in Africa had been fighting for territory for hundreds of years, but the desire of Europeans for slaves increased by incentives for Africans to enter into battles.
So long story short, the Portuguese, the English, the French, the Dutch. Dutch was smaller, but those are the main culprits. The French, the Portuguese, the Spanish, and the English all
That's
had
the main five.
exactly European slave trade. Exactly, they all had African slaves, and they obviously couldn't bring them all in Europe. They went to the Americas to do it.
All over.
But the thing was, the Dutch around that time was pretty much like the capital of the Jewish population. So that's where they got the funds from. You know what I'm saying? Though the Dutch did participate and had their hands physically in abducting our brothers from Africa, but also that most of the funding came from them because that was like pretty much the capital of the Jewish world at that time. That's where the funds came, and also the Dutch pretty much winded up being like the personal taxis. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. The Jewish man sponsored the slave trade, so they're claiming to be us all while sponsoring the slave trade, and the Arabs built the ships, and then obviously certain African tribes warred against each other, sold us to the white man, whatnot, and our own people sold us as well, quite as kept. But the bottom line is our people was already prophesied to go into slavery for disobedience over the course of a period of time. Where you at? Yeah, give me that real quick. Because we, like, exactly, we need some information, brother.
I love building.
Definitely, it's all good.
Come on.
You from out here?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Go ahead.
This is Deuteronomy 33 and 28. Israel then shall dwell in safety alone.
How is Israel going to dwell in safety alone when they come over here where the land of never mankind dwelt? Because like you spoke about Pangea, we know that the continents broke up, but everybody was still on the eastern hemisphere. Nobody really knew about the western hemisphere until what? The Phoenicians started coming over here. And that's how Solomon knew about coming over here as well, because when you read about Solomon, when he ruled, he used the Phoenician ships to come over to the Americas and get goods. That's why they got the gold and the certain like the royal blue, the red, what's it called? What's that? Yeah, the scarlet. That's the one. The scarlet, the purple, the blue. They got all those colors from traveling the earth. And then obviously the Israelites back at that time, we knew like, okay, they're going over there to get gold. So that's how we knew how to come over here. That's how Northern Kingdom came over here after the Syria and brought that artifact, like you said, because they already knew about this land, but they just didn't live over there.
Right.
Give me that.
Israel then shall dwell in safety alone. The fountain of Jacob shall be upon a land of corn and wine.
Read.
Also his heavens shall drop down dew.
Give me that's the last of it. Yeah, give me Hosea, real quick. And this is what happened when they got over here, and it was already prophesied in the Bible. Hosea 9 and 11. Go ahead.
It's Hosea 9 and 11. As for Ephraim,
Ephraim is the head of the northern kingdom, which are what the Puerto Ricans are. They found what, over 800 artifacts of Hebrew artifacts in Puerto Rico, and they try to dispute it until another archaeologist came out. These are authentic. These quote unquote Puerto Ricans,
Original ones, yes.
they're Hebrew Israelites. But that's talking about Ephraim here. Those are Ephraimites over there in Puerto Rico. Every time you see a Puerto Rican, they're from the tribe of Ephraim. Go ahead.
as for Ephraim, their glory shall flee away like a bird, from the birth and from the womb and from the conception.
Read.
Though they bring up their children, yet will I bereave them,
Read.
that they shall not be a man left.
Exactly. So what happened in 1492? Christopher Columbus didn't necessarily set foot in Central America. He went to the island of Puerto Rico. And I got a book at the house called From Columbus to Castro. And it talks about how Christopher Columbus came to Puerto Rico and sent 300 Puerto Ricans back to Spain. That was like the initiation of the transatlantic slave trade when they came over here in 1492. Even though we had an article about 1441, that was the Portuguese going down to West Africa and going back and forth amongst West Africa for a second before they expanded over here due to Spain coming over here as well. So the point of this is saying that when the Puerto Ricans, when it says they're going to dwell in safety alone, that was only for a short period of time. So when they start doing child sacrifice and human sacrifice, like they did the Aztecs and all that type of stuff, the Puerto Ricans, which is the head tribe, they weren't doing they weren't doing the same thing. They weren't keeping the commandments either. So when Christopher Columbus came, what were they doing? It says they were what? Cutting babies out of stomachs, feeding their babies to dogs, burning them alive, all that type of stuff. So that's why it's going into when you bear children, you're not going to enjoy these children because they're going to die on the spot. Go ahead.
Woe also to them when I depart from them.
Read. Keep going.
Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus,
I just saw who? Tyrus is what? The Phoenicians, which are the Canaanites over there. Like how we say, who's the Canaanites today? We can say. Well, I'm thinking of the Egyptians, but never mind. Keep reading.
Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place.
Read.
But Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murderer.
He's going to bring forth his children to the murderer. We know that didn't happen in Assyria because they escaped Assyria. It didn't happen in Israel because we fought back in Israel. And the Most High didn't scatter the northern kingdom from Israel all the way to, to get murdered and extinguished. You know what I mean? Because the Jews still lived there until the 1st century for the most part. So this is talking about when they came over there to the Americas. You're going to bring forth your children to the murderer. Go ahead.
Give them, O Lord, what wilt thou give them?
What is he going to give them? Read.
Give them a miscarrying womb
A miscarrying womb. Read on.
and dry breasts.
Read.
All their wickedness is in Gilgal, for there I hated them. For the wickedness of their doings I will drive them out of mine house. I will love them no more. All their princes are revolters.
Exactly. So everybody that's under this tribe, the rulership of the northern kingdom, they're all going to get slaughtered. Because we know when the conquistadors killed hundreds of millions of them too, right?
Whole bunch of them, yeah.
They died from disease. They died from the oppression, the hard labor, and they killed themselves too. They didn't want to be slaves. I'm gonna kill myself. They did that back in the day.
They did.
I'm not saying the quote unquote.
They all did that, but they did it though.
What's that? Yeah, they did do that. Like, so like how you trying to say they were ships? They were jumping off them slave ships back in the day. And even over here, they were. I mean, a few people would kill themselves as far as the West Africans did, but they were so oppressed, they just ran away, like to the Native Indians reservations, like I said. So that's the moral of the story, brother. The Bible, history, the artifacts, all tying together, proving that we are the people of the book.
Right.
The moral of the story is, give me Deuteronomy 12. And give me Sirach
White man come from there.
17. We can get that too. We can get that.
Come on.
Give me Sirach 17 and 24. We're going to get that right after this. Let's get it. Let's get it. Because a lot of people say, they're, what they say, they went up to the cold weather and this guy, like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous, brother. Who's talking?
That's NOY.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Big
Deuteronomy
ass
10.
sign,
Deuteronomy
yeah.
10.
The big ass sign of Yaqub and yeah.
Man, that's nonsense, brother. 17. I think it's 17:24. Go ahead.
Now this is Deuteronomy 10 and 12. And now, Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee? But to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good.
For thy good. Keeping the commandments is for our good. Not lusting after another man's wife is for your good. Not gossiping about another man or woman is for your good. Not stealing from your brother is for your good. Not killing your brother or your sister is for your good. Not treating your woman like a whore is for our good. Right or wrong. That's simple things. I didn't even go into the Bible. That's a simple, straight, and characteristics in a spiritual aspect of this behavior that our people are doing and think is cool now.
Right.
Oh, I fucked that nigga's bitch. Oh, man, pat on the back.
It's normalized.
I killed somebody. Oh, you a real one. Like, that's ridiculous.
Right.
That's the problem with our people. We're so far gone and far removed from the spirit that God gave us and the covenant we made with God. Now we're under the curse. Okay, now you wanna act like that. Now we're gonna make it evil. Now you're gonna be good at the worst thing.
Tear your ass up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why we're
Right.
punished right now. But now that we're going to this particular point, Sirach 17. Our job is to tell our people who they are.
So like in the Bible?
Yeah, this is like 4 different translations in one, but it's just different. Like I used to, this is a complete parallel Bible, so it's 4 different versions in one book.
Okay.
So it has 4 different translations.
The Asher in there too?
Jasher?
Yeah.
No, hell no. We don't believe in that. We don't believe in Jasher, Enoch, Jubilees. We don't believe in any of that. Those are pseudo books.
Yeah, okay. What, Maccabees?
Maccabees is in the Bible. Maccabees is in the book. Yeah, that's in there. That's real history. Yeah, that's real history. Yeah, but we don't, like I said, when you read those other books, not to get off track, but you mentioned Jasher, like those books contradict the Bible.
Yeah.
In Jasher, I believe it says Joseph married a 10-year-old girl.
He did say that.
That's not true. That's ridiculous. That's what Muhammad did actually in his book, in his history. He married a 6-year-old and had sex with her at 9. That's what they did.
Right.
That's ridiculous.
Right.
And now that's what I just seen a video. I think it was like 2-3 days ago. I don't even want to get on his page, but this is how crazy it is. There's this 10-year-old girl sitting on the couch being interviewed by this guy. He's like, how old are you? Like, I'm 10.
Right.
She's like, okay, are you here by yourself? He's like, no, my husband's back there. He's like, what? Brings out the dude. The dude's like 28. Like, bro, you still with 10-year-old? Like, what are you smiling for?
Wrong with you, yeah.
Listen, that's how Muslims think. I'm not gonna say Muslims, because Muslims can be anything. Arabs,
Right.
certain Arabs.
Right.
Because Muhammad did it, they tried to justify it. Muhammad did it, and they say he's not a pedophile. Like, bro, you're a pedophile, bro.
No, but it's safe to say that Muslims believe that too, because they say that all actions and words of Muhammad is what's classified as Sunnah, and it's the way of the religion.
It's madness.
That's correct, yeah.
Exactly.
That's just like
That's
I remember
crazy.
I was just watching To Catch a Predator, and like every episode it was like an Arab on it. I was just like, bruh, like I'm dead serious, bro. I'm dead serious.
This is weird, bro. But anyways, back to the point. Give me that Sirach. 24. Yeah, go ahead.
Sirach 17 to 24. But those who repent,
Those who repent, turn from sin, read on.
he permits return.
God will permit you to return to what? Turn to his grace, turn to his mercy, and then eventually return to our homeland, which is in East Africa and Israel. That's our homeland, read.
But those who repent, he permits to return, and he encourages those who have lost hope.
He encourages those that lost hope. Our people don't realize they're in captivity still. So I asked you first, you said, no, you're not in slavery in your own land.
We are.
But then I asked you again, are your people in slavery? You said yes. So of course you have to relate to your own people, right? Our people are on dope and all types of stuff, gangbanging around here. It's not good. We can't necessarily help everybody, but guess what? You being a world listener and learning, obviously you are a student of this information in general. Not necessarily all information is bad to
I love
learn.
knowledge, though, you know what I mean?
What's that?
I love knowledge.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying learning about everything is fine,
Right.
but internalizing it and thinking it's true is a whole different subject, because we know there's different people groups that believe different things.
Right.
Like, you're not going to worship an elephant god in it's Indian, are you? You're not going to do that.
I don't judge them, but, you know, I'm not.
But that's not our culture, though.
I'm not
That's
gonna
all
do
I'm
it.
saying.
Right,
Exactly. That's not our culture. We believe in one God, like I said, the Great Spirit.
The elephant, bro, you so crazy.
But am I lying, though?
Nah.
That's my point. We believe in the creator of heaven and earth.
Yeah.
And he has a name, Yahweh. That's his name. Go ahead.
Verse 25.
Then we get to the white man.
Turn to the Lord and renounce your sins. Plead before his face and stop offending him. Come back to the Most High. Turn away from iniquity and hold all that is foul in abhorrence.
All that's foul and abhorrence. Pimping and pandering, drug selling, killing, that's abhorrent. That's not, we're not supposed to like that stuff. That's why we call it out. Hey brother, stop doing that. Stop smoking weed, stop doing drugs, stop robbing and stealing from your own people.
You think weed's a sin?
I don't believe weed is a sin in general. Smoking weed is not good for you. It says what to do with herbs in the Bible. You digest herbs. Marijuana is an herb. You can drink it in the tea. You can do edibles or whatever case may be, but not to just get high. Oh, I'm gonna feel.
But the power out there, I'm like, I'm like, hey,
That's not beneficial to you because it hurts your lungs.
right.
Exactly. So, touching on that, why do you think when you smoke weed, that's your body telling you that doesn't belong in your lungs?
Shit hurt.
That's your body rejecting out your lungs. And there's a reason why we are born with what's called THC receptors in our body, right? So all the cannabinoids, which is the actual molecules of the THC, all our receptors are only found in our brain and in our gut. There's a reason why it's found in our gut and not in our lungs, right? Because the actual molecule of the cannabinoids, the THC, will attach to those attach to those THC receptors, and that's what helps the body take in. But it's the reason why it's found only in our gut and in our brain and not in our lungs. Because we are to eat that. You know what I'm saying? If we're any ailments or whatever it may be, you know what I mean?
Like that.
Yeah, and they're coming out with articles every day talking about when you smoke too much, how you can develop traits of schizophrenia. I just saw an article like 2-3 weeks ago about that.
Right.
Like this lot, like even what's the dude like how they call him, a Rasta, dreadhead, Jamaica, whatever it may be. He's like smoking and feeling that high is a side effect. A side effect. You know how you take a prescription, there's a side effect, a list of side effects that aren't good.
Diarrhea.
Exactly. Smoking weed gives you a side effect. You think you're high, but it's really a side effect. It's not a healthy thing. You're damaging your lungs. That's right. It's not supposed to be. It's rejecting that smoke.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it doesn't belong there. That's the point. Oh yeah, let's get into Esau. Where you at?
Eat the weed then.
Eat it. Eat it. You just gonna get that?
Like that.
I said we street teaching and doing music to educate. All praise, I had this gift in second grade where I stay. They upgraded the murder from catching fades. Let's just say you niggas is weaker in 7 days. Cause how a nation come kidnap you and make you slaves. Then separate their children and parents, change their names. No Damon Wayne for generations was major pain. And we kill each other, but when it's done, we don't say a thing. You niggas tripping. Well, in other words, y'all niggas Christian. Worship white Jesus when scriptures give his description. And shout out to my kindred that's really living was written. Keeping laws that was given instead of willfully sinning. I love saying Christ coming back, cause it's with vengeance. All we gotta do is endure like it's an entrance. Rehearse the righteous acts, though spiritually it's a scrimmage. And that real game start when the missiles pass the defenses. Let's get it, I'm chilling. It's scary but it's thrilling. Never trust the opposition, they come near me then I'm peeling. Like aren't you glad we no longer killing and drug dealing? But instead we out here healing, no more filling up them prisons. We almost at the ending, and now I don't care who like me. It's sore strokes for them folks, cause they scared to fight me. And you in sin, cause you clutching on that hand tightly. Calling on the Lord, you get ignored like scam likely. Step to the set, you getting checked like a pair of Nikes. SICARII heavy, in these streets you better tread lightly. And real Jews don't follow behind clones. We just waking up the dead in a valley of dry bones, all praise.